Floyd situation. Floyd is Floyd. That's like I say, Tank is Tank, man. But at the end of the day, the man is chasing great.
History is about to change as Floyd Mayweather's long years of achievement are about to going down the drain. Floyd isn't only attacking Gervonta Tank Davis anymore, he's stringing in anyone who is somewhat close to Tank in this feud. It's getting pretty intense, and there may not be any turning back for these two any longer. The new scoop on Floyd and Tank is quite interesting and also saddening at the same time. How could these two, who used to be role models of how a boss and signee should relate, suddenly turn to the worst foes we've ever known in boxing? It's beyond anyone's comprehension, but there goes the saying, never say never. Recently, Floyd's feud with Tank Davis spiraled into him throwing jabs at Tank's coach, Calvin Ford. On the Instagram live session where Floyd lost his cool, he went on to hurl several insults at Calvin, one of which he said Calvin was a leech who was just trying to make money and fame off of Tank Davis. Oops, that was kind of out of line and far-stretched, to be fair. Floyd also included that Calvin is only trying to exploit Tank. Floyd mentioned how he was sure Calvin was just trying to leech off of Tank due to his decades of experience in the industry.
He supposed to say, y'all heard my interview. I want Frank to do what he's supposed to do. Get what I'm saying? Because I know it's going to make my guy do what he's supposed to do.
Floyd knows how coaches move, how they forcefully attach themselves to a fighter doing well, and how they quickly detach themselves when the fighters start losing their juice. Oh well, Gervonta Tank Davis is definitely not allowing Floyd's claims to fly. The claims are likely dead on arrival as Tank has been going on a long rant about how Calvin Ford, who had been his coach before his debut, is not the type of person Floyd had described. According to Tank Davis, Floyd is just an attention seeker who isn't cool with the fact that a fighter can leave his Mayweather Promotions company just the way he did. Tank is claiming Floyd is bitter, and that's the reason he's pouring his anger out on anyone close to him. Floyd's anger towards Tank leaving the company was allegedly targeted at Leonard Ellerbe initially. Leonard Ellerbe, who used to be the CEO of Mayweather Promotions, was dismissed all of a sudden, and folks kept wondering why. Let's spill that tea to you in a minute. Word on the street is that Leonard allegedly got fired from the job because he kept being close to Tank Davis and supporting him after he had left the company in a messy way.
Roger never got Trainer of the Year when Floyd was Fighter of the Year. His dad never got Trainer of the Year. So I've been openly expressing that. And I think it's time that Calvin gets his just due.
Inasmuch as Leonard tried to play the non-partial card that he was neither supporting Floyd nor Tank in their feud, it was still glaring enough that he tilted more towards Tank's side. However, Floyd couldn't take that. He felt someone like that could harm him or his company. So he didn't hesitate to replace Leonard with former Golden Boy Promotions CEO Richard Schaefer. Moving on, Floyd and Tank's beef has been going on for too long, and it really doesn't seem like either of them is willing to let go of the bad blood they have for each other. On Tank's side of the story, he felt his boss had sabotaged his career and didn't want him to go further or measure up to Floyd's achievement in the industry, while on Floyd's side of the story, he felt betrayed by one of his trusted signees. Yeah, that's dicey, but what's with the inclusion of people around Tank Davis and calling them names or striking them out? Folks think that's a low blow from Floyd. Anyway, while Tank was trying to be in his longtime coach and father figure side, he claimed it's in fact Floyd Mayweather who exploits people and leeches off of their talents. As he had previously mentioned, he started having issues with Floyd and Mayweather Promotions itself solely because Floyd was allegedly sabotaging his career. In Tank's book, Floyd was trying to exploit him and leech off of his talents as he's retired from the game. Tank even once claimed Floyd was broke and in a financial crisis when he was stuck in Dubai. Like that wasn't wild enough, Tank added that Floyd was jealous that he got a deal with Amazon, which was way bigger than Floyd's deal with the brand.
See, bro.
Yeah.
That deal that I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh, that's a part of
deal. He don't know about that yet, but that's bigger than his deal.
Tank feels that's the reason Floyd keeps calling his name out on the internet. But brace yourselves because the story gets more interesting. Floyd mentioned during the Instagram live session that all of Tank's claims were false, and the only reason he's hell-bent on calling him out is just because of his lack of gratitude. According to Floyd, he was the one who helped Tank out of the hood and polished him to be a better fighter, as opposed to Tank's story. Tank Davis never ceases to make mention of how it was Calvin Ford who helped him structure his life in a better way than his peers in the hood. Narrating Tank Davis's story, Tank had it really rough while growing up, moving from one foster home to the other as his father was in prison and his mother was an addict. Tank stayed with his grandmother for a while, but she couldn't keep up with a young boy trying to navigate how life worked. Tank gave an account of how Calvin's son, Smiley, had allowed him to stay in their house and sleep on the couch, which Calvin also accepted.
Matter of fact, before they stopped it, I said every time I stopped somebody. I called it out.
Every time he come in the corner and talk to me, I said, yo, what you doing? He'll look this way, he'll look this way.
Calvin built the father figure image for Tank properly after Smiley moved to a different state with his mother, leaving only Tank with Calvin. From the age of 10, when Tank was staying at Calvin's apartment, he grew a love for boxing and bonded with the sport with Calvin's support. Calvin still played a major role in Tank's life, as he didn't allow him to go astray like the rest of the kids in the neighborhood that was getting taken out of the world due to the vices they were participating in at a young age. This, and many more, are the reasons Tank feels he owes his boxing career to Calvin Ford only, and not Floyd. Tank Davis has the notion set in his head that Floyd only signed him because he knew he was talented. Tank feels Floyd would have never done the things Calvin had done for him, so he should have never spoken ill of Calvin. Tank also thinks Floyd shouldn't be the one to talk about loyalty because he's the wrongest person to have anything to say on such a sensitive topic. Tank once talked about Floyd going out of his way to destroy his winning chances for his match against Frank Martin. Interestingly, Tank Davis ended up winning the match, but he's not forgiving Floyd for allegedly giving Frank some tips on his routine and weak points to defeat Tank easily. Oh well, that's uncalled for. Feuding with Tank is one thing, but trying to make him lose his match and stain his record is another thing.
You know, he the one told Frank that I was running at 7 o'clock in the morning, Friday. He told Frank that. He was giving Frank tips and stuff like that. But I knew for sure that wasn't going to be enough to beat me.
Using the right word, it was petty on Floyd's part. But hey, don't let's get carried away with emotions here. They are both firing shots at each other and seeing who will last for the next round. The game is quite messy, but that's how the players play it. Anyway, Floyd may keep aiming at Tank Davis anyhow he likes. Davis wouldn't mind, but where Davis draws the line is when he involves the man he holds dear to his heart, Calvin Ford. However, y'all should know Calvin is the type of person who really doesn't give a hoot about anything Floyd has to say. Rather, he's rooting for Davis to participate in more important matches and keep his streak of a clean record in the ring. After Smiley, Calvin's son, who brought Davis into their home, tragically passed away, he sees Davis as the only son he has left, and he wouldn't care what anyone has to say about him. As long as the child he nurtured from the rough streets of Baltimore is making history and breaking records, it's enough for him. That's easy for Calvin, but we can't say the same for Tank Davis. However, Floyd isn't that cool-headed of a person that Tank can throw dirt on his name. Aside from Floyd being known as a phenomenal fighter, he holds a high record of being petty and getting the last laugh in almost any drama he's involved in. If Floyd is not throwing shades at artists, then he's showing off his million-dollar collections of designers, cars, jewelry, and jaw-dropping properties. So when Davis claimed Floyd was broke, and it was because he was owing the Dubai government they wouldn't let him leave their country, almost everyone laughed it off. No one would believe Floyd Mayweather is broke. Floyd would stack millions of dollars in his home to flaunt his wealth and laugh at his haters. That's what he does. And we all know that can't just be for show-off. He must really have some $1 million to his name. It's even one of the rumored reasons fighters rush to sign with him and be a part of Mayweather Promotions, because they know they will be swimming in wads of money when they get in. But y'all should know something. Floyd wasn't born into riches. Neither did he wake up one day and meet himself in the middle of loads of cash. He worked his way through to get to the top. Through his sweat, tears, and blood, Floyd gave it his all to make sure he didn't have to suffer throughout his lifetime. Floyd had once described how young fighters only fall in love with his end results and never think of how he had to go through the worst of situations to be where he is today. It wasn't all fun and jokes, so he detests how people make it seem like it was so easy for him when it wasn't. Nevertheless, Tank Davis does not care about any of that. He also claims he has his story. It wasn't all roses for him from the start, too. He also had to work his way to the top, so he really can't be bothered about Floyd's story. All he cares about is that Floyd tried to sabotage his career, and he's done with him for good. But wait, maybe Tank isn't done with him completely. Seeing how they bicker at each other through their social media posts and throw shades at each other during interviews, it's clear that Tank still has a lot of pent-up anger to let go of. No one knows what must have happened behind the curtains that Tank cannot let go of. Everyone is familiar with how the entertainment world isn't as glamorous as they paint it to be, either in Hollywood or in the regular sports we enjoy from time to time. It's a shady business under the guise of glitz and glamour. So whether it will end on a subtle note where we will witness these two arch-enemies returning to the way they were before, or it will continue to be fire and brimstones in their hearts towards each other, we will just have to wait and see as time goes on. So, do you think Floyd Mayweather will be giving a response to Tank Davis's comments about his Instagram live session soon, which would breed another round of their feud? Or do you think Floyd may be willing to let the sleeping dogs lie this time? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on celebrity news updates.